So many guys will try to hang on, whether it's indie ball or, just whatever, trying to devote still all this time, effort, energy. Even if they're not playing indie ball, they're just training and doing this and that and working odd end jobs. When they look up, they're 30 and they got no experience. And like you said, dudes come out of college at 21, 22. They've been working for 8 years.
You gotta like you're running your business. The athlete in general, they probably would be somebody great to hire, but you also got to know where they're at.
Because from the outside looking in, as a former player or from your standpoint as a coach, if a guy's got it. You know what I mean? So, if he gets cut, you're like, all right, dude, just hang it up and let's move on. You got a lot of good experience. People love hiring athletes. You got good opportunities probably in front of you.
I mean, shoot, you could have a college kid that has that mentality 100%. When he comes back and can't get a job and is struggling, but it might take someone like yourself that has been there to, all right, I'm going to take you under my wing, you know, and you're going to report to me and tell me
Speak that life into him.
It's a lot of work for you, because you got other things that you could do selfishly. But I know your heart, dude. I know what you're about. So
I have the fortunate, timeline of it being me coming out of high school. So I played 5 years, but if you look at it from a college standpoint, it's a year after I would have graduated college. So I was still a young guy, looking to feed my family, get into a good industry and all that. And so
The Mark Bigg Show.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Mark Bigg Show. Super excited about my guest today, former Major League player and one of my former pitching coaches when I played, and one of my favorite people in the world, Dave Williams. Dave, so glad you're here, my man. Thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me, Biggs. I would.
Absolutely. It took a little coordinating, but we got it figured out. Holiday season and stuff was crazy. Yeah. But so I want to dive in. You and I met. Were you with Toronto in 2011? Because I got drafted in 11, so I can't remember if you were there in Instructs or you came in 2012.
I think I was there, I believe, 2012.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I got drafted in 11, went to Instructs that first year, and then in spring training the next year is when you and I met. And, just kind of hit it off from early on. I like the way that you approach the game, the way that you approach just day-to-day life. And I tell the people in the office still to this day, you're one of the main reasons of why I cut up so much, because you had a perfect switch of screwing around and messing with everybody, but also keeping it light. And then also when it's time to work, let's work. And so how long did you play professional baseball for?
I'm probably getting it wrong, but at this point, drafted in 98 by the Pirates. Had this guy, Dana Brown. He's the GM for the Astros now. He was just an area scout. Just asked me if I could play. And of course, when you're the same as you, man, when you're 19, 20 years old, you could run through
brick wall,
a yard of bullets.
Yeah, that's right.
I went to the Pirates, spent 2.5 years minor league in it. Kind of dissected everything like nutrition and just working out. And everybody was kind of just born with it. And I knew that I was in the wrong place. Just drafted out of nowhere type of thing out of a JUCO. So, 2.5 years in the minor leagues. And then with a little bit of a probably 85 to 90 mile an hour fastball, just trying to just compete.
Dotting boys up, though.
Yeah, for sure. And then about 4.5 years, as I hit arbitration, they traded me to the Reds for Sean Casey. And then from the Reds, they booed me out of town while my buddy Bronson Arroyo was killing it.
Yep.
Sent me to the Mets, and it's finally nice to be on a good team. If you've ever been on even on a good business team nowadays.
Oh, for sure.
It's kind of like that. So I spent a couple of years there. My dad was in the military, so I played Little League in Japan.
Oh, that's cool.
Little fun fact: I was born in Alaska, played Little League in Japan, and just,
I'll be honest with you, I did not know that until this very moment. So that's cool to know.
Yeah.
So when you jumped into pro ball, I'm sure it was kind of a moment like me. I use the term AWR all the time, average white righty. I figured out real quick that I was an average white righty in the minor leagues. So what did you feel like you had to do in order to separate yourself to get to the big leagues?
Shoot, man, it kind of goes back to what your parents used to preach you, hang out with the right people. I used to try to be around first rounders because I knew that they had the golden ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah. For no particular reason, just kind of, they let me into their circle and kind of, I was a baseball guy. There was nothing else that I felt like God had me doing on this earth at the time that was going to be any other backup plan or job, So yeah, from there I just hung out with the right people and kind of that friendly competition, you know,
For sure.
when you know they're doing good and you know you're right behind them, maybe not doing as good, but you're right there with them. You got a shot.
You're always trying to pick up
Um,
on things they're doing and things that you may not do or
Not
things they
really.
do better than you.
I had, if I could reel them all off, man, they're all still doing the game to this day.
Yeah.
Bannister with the Rangers, or I think he's with Arizona now, but just some real solid dudes because you don't have your family anymore, you
No, you
know,
don't. And I
as you
think that's
know.
one of the things that separates whether it's high school or college. Like a lot of guys get in there and, college, a lot of times they'll go away from home, but like get into pro ball is a different deal. Because, like you said, you're away from your family for 6, 7 months at least, depending on how deep of a playoff run it is. If you
Yeah,
go to instructs or not, so like you got to really learn like yourself as a man. And did you always have like the work ethic and drive, like growing up all the way through? Because I think truly one of the main things that I think you taught me that first year, because I mean, to be honest with you, that first year was a hard year for me because my dad passed away in spring training, and then after extended, all my boys went to Bluefield to the rookie league, and I stayed back in the Gulf Coast League with you, and I think just a couple other guys I got drafted with, and the rest were like Latin players and guys that were banged up and trying to get back healthy and those types of things. So there's a lot of frustration, and of course I was a just turned 19-year-old kid. I was wild and all those things. But one of the things that I think you taught me that sticks with me to this day is like the routine, learning how to like, here's what my body needs to be ready to perform. Here's the things from a pitching standpoint that I need to focus on day in and day out. So did you always have that yourself, or did you learn that like as time went on?
I think I just had ADD, man. I think I just
That's a fact.
really just impulsive. Knew that I had no other backup plan.
Yeah.
Knew that it was when I, like you said, like everybody goes off to A ball, and you're still down there. It's tough, man. And going, I was right there with you, man. When your dad passed, man, that really made me. I've taken anything from like Latin guys leaving the country, coming
Yep.
here, a lot less English. To lose your dad or your mom or whatever, everybody's got something going on. Is
That's a
what I've
fact.
learned through life. But and also just trying to teach guys. I don't necessarily say this in a bad way, but you got to be savage, and it's like a war. It's taught to you like it's war, but it's
Every
not.
day.
Yeah, and it's. But I think like that. Title of it's war. It's more or less like war against yourself.
Yep.
What you're mentally able to handle. And for I've never probably asked you this. Your dad passing away. The game is pretty beautiful when you can embrace it and it can be an outlet,
Yeah.
rather than walking around the mall or your job and having to like
Put the face
continue
on.
to self-talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
It is a pretty cool game. I think sports in general, an awesome outlet if you can get, paid or drafted to do it. It's a privilege,
1,000%. And I think it
Yeah.
helped guide me through that, to your point, because, he passed away like I went home. I remember running back. I was supposed to pitch that day, I think. And I went up to the coordinator, Uncle Dane Johnson. And I was like, hey man, like
Yeah.
I got to get out of here. And he was like, go, So I left on probably a Thursday, I guess, and got home. My dad passed on a Friday. We had the funeral on Monday. And then I was back in Florida on Thursday of that same week. And so like there was a part of it that was tough because obviously my family's at home grieving. I'm 1,000 miles away from them by myself. But at the same time, like you said, I had this beautiful opportunity that I'd just been presented not a year before, kind of use as an outlet. And so I think it took some time for me, just being 19 and young and stupid. It took some time for me to like use it as that outlet. But as that year wore on, I think I did. And then as, the rest of my career played out, really just buried myself in the work of it and trying to prepare. And because like you said earlier, you figure out real quick if you're not, one of these superstars that like everybody's better than you, everybody's as good as you, if not better. You know what I mean? So you got to figure out some type of way to prepare yourself and separate yourself. And so I always tried to use, the extra work and being in the gym all the time and being one of those kinds of guys. And then being a clubhouse guy. I was boys with the pitchers, the catchers, the position players, all those guys. And so I think truly because of my performance, I think that helped me stick around a little bit longer than it would some other guys. And obviously they paid me and I got drafted, so they wanted to kind of see it through. I get that too. But using it as an outlet was probably a big thing looking back. So that's a solid point.
Yeah, I'd say that to anybody that just likes the game with their son, or it's a cool game like that. It's more than a game. It's I think just what you said, just everything, minor leagues. You could take it all with you, and I've been following you with like work even, and I got my. I remember you gave me this card, dude,
Let's
when
go, baby.
you came to see me and train.
It's got a couple
Like
bumps and bangs on it.
that's what I was capable of doing is like find the guys that I knew I could learn from or could water it down for me, and then go find where they live. I think a lot of times we sit back and like, oh, that person, like really taking the initiative to get what you need out of yourself, kind of getting off your tail. And you drove, I don't know, what, 5 hours or so, and you had a girlfriend that, all that stuff intertwines in your life, and you put the work in, and at the end of the day, I would say I'm very lucky because I prayed that I get one pitch or one day in the big leagues, but obviously, like, God just overwhelms you, when you're praying and doing some things right. And then also just, for you personally, being a young kid, it kind of reminded me of when my wife and I were getting started and she'd follow behind the bus, and just like the grind that if you want a girl to come with you, just it evolves into something really cool. Everybody's really story is different. That's what I like about it. Everybody's story to get there is so different.
It is, and that's what I think makes you appreciate, like, all the different backgrounds that you play with. You play with guys from all over that have everything, that have nothing, and everything in between.
At the end of the day, you can't really tell unless they wear their uni sloppy.
That's exactly right. That's the only way to show up. That's exactly right. That's the best thing I think truly about the game is like the relationships that you build if you take the time to like pour into other people and learn their situation and learn their stories. Like there's all kinds of Latin dudes that they figured out I knew some Spanish early on, and so they would kind of lean on me to be like, hey, help me out in these situations. And like I don't think if they saw my face today, they would forget that in 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, and the relationships that you forge.
So 98? Okay, that's over 20-something years ago. The Latin guys, a lot of them, when they would get released, they'd hightail it to New York. They wouldn't even go back to the, wherever they were from, Dominican, or just these places that you don't really want to ever grow up in.
That's it.
They don't know any English. They just roll.
And there's something about that, like them coming over at 16, 17 years old and realizing that, like, they got nothing to go back to. So they're, like, pouring everything they got into this, too, because it's their ticket, to get out and stay out, too.
For sure. I feel like there's an academy on every block now.
Yeah.
But, everybody's got to still have that root of grind.
That's it.
Whether you get a job from your uncle, you get drafted in the first round, the grind plays true.
It always does. And that's why I think truly, like, and you can speak to this too, like after baseball ended for me, like I was never afraid to go into the real world because like deep down, like I probably couldn't have like articulated it at that point, but like deep down I knew that like you have like a chip on your shoulder a little bit when you get to a professional level of any sport or any profession really, and understanding the work that it takes to succeed at that type of a level. Like I think athletes, if they use it the right way, have some sort of advantage when they go out into the real world. So like, because you just have a different approach, you have a different mindset. You understand like I got to come in and work day in and day out, regardless if I'm seeing anything good from it or not. And I was talking to another teammate, former teammate that was he was a position player. And he was talking about, I thought this was a great point. He was like, you can put in baseball so hard because you can put in all the work in the gym. For him, he was talking about hitting in the cage and doing his tee work and all the progressions and all that stuff. And you may still go 0 for 30. So it's just like so tough. But like in the real world, if you're in a certain trade or business and you're doing the right things day in and day out without somebody like forcing you to do it, like you'll start to see those things stack up. And so I thought that was a great point. Like, do you think like it's helped you, like your professional career helped you like after baseball?
Yeah, I mean, probably. I feel like sometimes when people ask me if I miss it or if I, if it helps, like I answer it different every single time.
For sure.
Feel like depending on how my day's going, but 100%. I do try to like be on time, like all the like pretty basic things on time, how you treat people, being professional. Those things started to kind of irritate me, like when I'd be on a Zoom and the guy would grab his vape or something. Like,
what you doing,
dude?
Yeah.
But they were like one of those veteran guys in the industry. So, but it never played like that for me. So it kind of would wind me up.
100%. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, stuff like that. You learn how to be professional, how to wear your suit or whatever it is, and I think that word right there, that just being professional, you learn, no matter if you've had, a year doing it, like you're around 24/7 trainers, strength guys, players, guys rehabbing, and they're all trying to be professional.
That's it.
Something, you know.
And that's the thing. I think if you like in the real world, like in I call it civilian life, if you do those things alone, like you're already going to beat probably 3/4 or 80% of the people that you're competing against, because most people just don't do that, And then if you take the time to perfect your craft or learn your craft and be different and build relationships, I think the sky's the limit. And there's enough for those people. There's enough for it to go around and everybody can eat.
Yeah, and I think I've always searched for and I've switched careers and done certain things. Like I've really kind of, even baseball, like it's always been before the check.
Yep.
So when I came out here, I wanted something that there was a good team. There was a guy that led us, or whatever it was, or I even had a construction where I led. And you find out if you can lead. You find
Sure.
out that certain positions you're put in life that you can either handle, or maybe you're a pitching coach, or whether you're just whatever it is, just kind of being a part of that team. Like
Yep.
if you're on a good team, any industry, like you can do damage.
100%. And that's a good point too about the game.
Have the passion, not just the check, but like enjoy what you're doing, enjoy what I'm doing. There's when you have passion and they all intertwine, it's pretty neat, or pretty easy to wake up.
It is. It's a beautiful thing, honestly. And you can work, in my opinion, you can work easier on teams outside of sports, having been through the sports time of your life, because once again, there's people from Latin America that don't even speak English. There's people from, the West Coast, the East Coast, North, South, like all over. And you're in a locker room, you're in buses, you're in hotels with these guys 24/7. So like if you learn to mesh and blend and still be yourself, but also like learn how to work with these people for the same goal, like I think the sky's the limit, And I just think that's what the beauty
and if
is.
You see in the minor leagues, like errors and guys getting hit in the face with 90-mile-an-hour fastball, like you see error after error. So like when you see it out here and just your job, you embrace it, because person, for the most part, they're not trying to do those things,
right,
unless it's number 4 and 5, and then you get released. It's just like,
like bang, you're out.
Yeah, back to the minors.
That's it. When you when you got into coaching, did you like that time? Did you feel like you did well? Because I felt like, from a player standpoint, being under you as a pitcher and you were a pitching coach, like I feel like you knew how to lead those guys well. A lot of us was young guys, so you probably found us screwing around too much or whatever. But like I felt like you had a good way of communicating and leading that group.
I think it. I think I wanted I knew that I wanted every guy to make it.
Yeah,
I really did.
I felt that.
It started becoming a problem a little bit for me personally, if I could be transparent. It's away from my kids, and just like so to see the game evolve into like stat rats and dat guy, guys from Harvard and this and that, like I kind of stepped away because my passion as a player is totally different than a coach.
Yeah.
You'd probably have to sit down, if I ever did it again. I just like I always said, like the guys that I was around, my pitching staff, because I was the pitching coach, be like my nephews,
Yep.
And one of them got released.
That hurts.
It's painful, but at the same time, I have to recognize that we're in a business and we're trying to develop a sport and get, people getting paid huge, and just, not everybody can go. But yeah, I still do. I'll do lessons here and there, but I realized that I was more like at least till my girls got older, like more in the family, being around my family, my girls, my wife was more healthy for me than being out on the road. And there's family dynamics that I respect that too. Yeah.
And it's tough when you're away from them and seeing, like you said, you feel like these guys are your family and they get cut or they get swapped to another team or whatever the case may be. And it is a business. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle, in my opinion, after baseball or whatever sport it is, after they get cut. They're just kind of like, because you devote so much time, effort, energy, and blood, sweat, and tears, and money, and time away from your family if you're trying to make it, all those things, and then all of a sudden, at the drop of a dime, it's just over. Yeah. And I think it's rooted in a lot of guys, I think, because they don't have anything else going for them, it's sad in a sense, but like if you have your identity wrapped up so much in that, when it's over, it's like, all right, now what? Like when I got cut, people ask me too, do you miss it or whatever? And I'm like, I just knew, like I could see the writing on the wall that it was coming. They had asked me to go to Australia the year before, or the winter before that I got cut, and I was like, let me think about this. I was like, every guy that went to Australia that was a pitcher that was in the minors got cut the next year. So I was like, nah, I'm not going. And so they call me in spring and they're like, hey, I got something for you. You're out of here. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, I was comfortable with it.
You got to be true to yourself too. Like I've seen a lot of guys hang around and it becomes not healthy,
it does.
With drinking or whatever it is.
Well, then a lot of times too, you think about it. So like for me, I was at 22.
Yeah, and I think that's why I don't really get too involved with like, say, it'd have to be like the right academy with the right team, like we just talked about. But we can also teach the team or teach the game a little too aggressive at 8U and you're playing 30 games that weekend, or we can just.
I get asked all the time. I've got an 8-year-old son, and they're like, "You want to play travel ball?" And I'm like, "Nah."
Episode.
Yeah, but, I'm like, "Nah."
Yeah. It's just you got to really. I don't know. And that part of it's different too. You come back from the game and your hometown's moved on.
Yeah.
But if you go home, I didn't go home. I went to Georgia, and my dad and my family were in Delaware.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to deal with the talk of like, oh, he got released, because there are some haters out there. Let's be honest.
Oh, 100%. And they're like, why didn't you go back? And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't go like that.
You're at the lowest, Like, you love it so much, and unless you fight for it and want to do it again, you're probably done and need to go get you a real big boy job.
That's exactly right.
And a lot of them people are already 5 years or whatever time period it took you to evaluate your ability as a ball player. They've already kind of gotten going.
And see, that's a perfect point, and that's what I was going to hit on a second ago, is like so many guys talking about hanging on. So many guys will try to hang on, whether it's indie ball or, just whatever, trying to devote still all this time, effort, energy. Even if they're not playing indie ball, they're just training and doing this and that and working odd and end jobs. When they look up and they're 30, and they got no experience. And like you said, dudes come out of college at 21, 22. They've been working for 8 years. So they've kind of already taken off. And that's why I hate to see guys do that. Because from the outside looking in as a former player, or from your standpoint as a coach, if a guy's got it. You know what I mean? So like if he gets cut, you're like, all right, dude, just hang it up and let's move on. You got a lot of good experience. People love hiring athletes. Like you got good opportunities probably in front of you if you'll just take them. But so many guys hang on and just, not that they can't still figure it out at 30, but it's a lot harder. I was 22 when I got cut.
You gotta like you're running your business. The athlete in general, they probably would be somebody great to hire, but you also got to know where they're at.
That's a fact.
PTSD or whatever you want to call it.
It's real.
On that, you do have to make sure they're straight, because I have seen some of it's not aligned. They might, but at the same time, you're not necessarily the person that can help them either.
No.
So it's like it's a weird thing that, and just what you said, you seem to be like on it or want to give those athletes at any level, really. I mean, shoot, you could have a college kid that has that mentality
100%.
when he comes back and can't get a job and is struggling, but it might take someone like yourself that has been there to, all right, I'm going to take you under my wing, you know, and you're going to report to me and tell me.
Speak that life into him.
It's a lot of work for you, because you got other things that you could do selfishly. But I know your heart, dude. I know what you're about. So
I appreciate it.
On a business level, I do know that you could handle something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I have the fortunate timeline of it being me coming out of high school. So like I played 5 years, but if you look at it from a college standpoint, it's a year after I would have graduated college. So like I was still a young guy, looking to feed my family, get into a good industry and all that. And so I'm walking into year number 10 of tax season. Of doing what I've done for the last 10 years. So like, and I'm 31. So like, it's cool for me, I was fortunate in that regard that I got to go at 18 and it wasn't, delayed another 5 years. So, I am grateful for that too.
And you found a woman.
Yeah.
It takes
exactly.
that too.
That's a fact. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
Like I told you, that first year was
have that
wild.
number one fan, and then, you get some kids, and then you understand life. Yeah. It's a cool progression.
It is. And what are you doing now? Why don't you tell everybody that's watching?
So I actually, I had that pharmacy.
Yep.
We owned a pharmacy in Douglasville, Georgia. And then Shelly got breast cancer real bad, and she was the pharmacist. So I hot sold it to Walgreens. They bought the data and just had a guy randomly come in, asked me what I was going to do. And I had no clue really. Feel like I'm above average in probably anything.
For sure. You're sure.
When I'm right. And so, I ran freight for 5 years. in this room. Actually, I got
That's right.
tired of seeing walls, so anytime we had a Zoom, it was during the pandemic too.
Oh man,
but anyway, so I did that, and then recently, good buddy of mine, actually this One Source company.
Let's go,
give
baby.
Him a little,
Free
give him a
rep.
little something, but. Yeah, so I've been with this roofing construction company. We do residential, commercial roofing. So if anybody watching this has a need, my family would appreciate it. But at the same time, doing a good like we just said, they're an awesome team.
That's it.
Leadership's nice, and everybody's good Christians, like good heart. You know what I'm saying? Like
100%.
Everybody's in a different path, but at the same time, at the end of the day, they are a team, a unit, and try to do damage out there.
That's what it's about, man. And I feel like you've kind of found your niche. I follow you too on social media and stuff, so I feel like you've kind of found a groove and things are going well for you. What are your girls up to now?
So Kylie or Kendall right here, she's a cheerleader, sophomore. Kylie's senior year, cheerleader. She's probably my best athlete. She runs good.
Is she the baby?
She's the middle one.
Middle one, okay.
So her kind of. Sometimes because we're the same creature.
That's me too, man. I'm a middle one too.
Yeah, my kids are a lot. And then my youngest, she just started driving. She acts like I should just be sitting in the passenger seat chilling out.
You need to be. That ain't your personality though.
My mom is 20. She just turned 21. She's at Tennessee. She bought me this Morgan Wallen hat.
Let's go, baby.
I have a bald head.
Wallen's the man. So she's up at UT. Did she go when he came to Neyland?
And then Shelly is doing. She works for this company called Veracity that does like private insurance. But then she's a pharmacist within their employees.
Is she doing well? Her health good?
Yeah. She's fully healthy and ornery again.
I'm so I believe that the ornery probably never went away. I wouldn't assume.
Nah, she's fun.
She's got to be to deal with you though. So let's just throw that out there.
That is true.
Shelly's a good woman. You got to give her my best.
Yeah.
But no, man, this has been great, and I really just wanted to hit on some things about ball and how it translates into life, and I think you made a lot of good points, and I respect you a lot, and I appreciate all you've done for me and my family over the years, and it's been great staying in contact with you, and I consider you a good friend. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate the time today, dude.
Yeah, I always hear guys say like, "Oh yeah, I heard from this player, that player," but
it's the best.
It's genuinely a good feeling when you said like, "Hey, you want to get on?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, dude!" You're a good person, and your dad would be proud, and I'm sure your family is. So
I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, thank you for the time today, and I hope everybody took something from it. Dave, thank you for the time. Y'all, we will see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Mark Big Show.